Welcome back to another video about the rolling drawbridge. I intend to make this the last video about the modeling of the bridge, which means that I will be finishing all of the painting and all of the weathering in this video. At least that's the plan. So as you can see, I have given the bridge a wash of dark brownish color. So that is burnt umber that I've used here. And I don't know how well you can see it, but it's almost like it's gotten a bit of a marbled texture. And I hope that some of the darker spots will come through once I give it a layer of paint. So the next step is to wet the bridge, to spray it with water, and then to have salt, to put on salt in those areas where I want this old rust to come through. Alright, so I wetted the bridge and I've put salt on it in a couple of places. So let me zoom in, and I hope you can see it. So it's just in a couple of places where I've put the salt. And I put it both on the inside and the outside of the bridge. I hope the focus is good enough so that you can see it. So I also put some salt on these support structures here, especially in the corners. So I'm gonna let this dry now, and when it's dry, I'll give it a layer of spray paint. And then hopefully I'll be able to brush off most of the salt again, and to get the effect that I'm after. So I've given the bridge a layer of spray paint. The layer that I applied was very thin, and the result of that is that in many places the old rust, the dark rust color is still coming through. So if I zoom in, for example, here, you can see the effect that I've obtained. And the same holds for the size of the bridge here as well. So as you can see, the salt is still on the bridge. So the next thing to do is to remove the salt from the sides of the bridge. And the same holds for the supports. And then this is what it looks like after removing most of the salt. I'll zoom in to show you what the effect is. So you can see on a few places there is a few salt grains that are still left. I'm going to leave those on. But where I have removed the salt grains, you can see that the rust is coming through. So you have these small spots of rust coming through. And so this is precisely the effect that I was after. So here you can see an area where the rust clearly has come through the paint. So this part here came out very nice, I think. So this is the effect that I was after. So let me show you the other side as well. So it's the same effect here as well. So I'm quite pleased with this result. And so now the question is, will I do more weathering on this or not? So if you go up here, there is at least one spot where the white from the plastic card is coming through, so I have to patch this up. But that's just a minor thing. But the question is, and that I will have to decide how much more weathering I want to do on this. Alright, so I did a little bit more weathering, and for that I used these two colors here, burnt sienna and burnt amber, and essentially I did a little bit of dry brushing in certain places, not so much. So here on the top, not a lot of old rust color was coming through, so I dry brushed it on. I don't know if you can see it very well. Yeah, the focus is a bit problematic, but yeah, I fixed this little spot here in the corner, so that looks nice as well. And so the other thing I did was I used this pigment powder, and I brushed on a couple of streaks just to make it look a bit dirty. So for example here, I don't know if you can see it, so this is what I mean, here and there, and some streaks here, and then a little bit here, and also on the other side. So same thing here, so a little bit there and a little bit there, and also on the inside, just to make it look really dirty. I'm not going to do any more weathering on this. I think I got all the rust on it that I want. This is a bridge that looks old and used and rusted and in desperate need of some maintenance and a new layer of paint, and this was precisely what I was after. So I'm very happy with this. For the deck of the bridge, I'll be using a piece of sandpaper. I've already cut out a piece to the right size, as you can see here. So that will go in here. And then in addition, I will have these two strips on either end of the deck. So that will mimic a metal strip on either side of the bridge. And as you can see, I've already primed it, given it a grey primer. So I'll give this a paint and see what it looks like. Alright, so I've painted and weathered the road bed, or the deck of the bridge, if you like. And I've also glued it in place already. For the painting, I've used the two colors in the middle, which are called warm grey and basalt grey. And then for more weathering, as you can see here in the middle of the deck and on the sides, I've used this this same pigment powder again. So that means that the bridge is finished now. And the only thing that remains are the concrete blocks that the bridge will be resting on. So as you can see, I have cut in a number of cracks in the blocks on either side. And I've also given it the first layer of paint, and the paint that I've used for that is the one on the right, which is called silver gray. And so now the only thing that remains is the weathering of these two blocks, and then we'll call that a finished project. So I started brushing on some dirt on the concrete blocks. So this is a dark gray color that I more or less dry brushed on. And the idea is just to make it look really dirty. So maybe this block I put on a little bit too much, I'm not sure. But I think I want to blend in a little bit of rust color as well from the armor that is sort of inside the blocks, that's starting to rust and come through the cracks. So I'll give that a try now as well. Okay, so I've brushed on a little bit of rust color as well. So the color that I used for that was this deep brown color. And so I dry brushed this on as well. Just a couple of places here where sort of the rest is coming through. And I think this looks quite nice, so I'm gonna leave it like this. Alright, so that means we have a completely finished bridge. All the construction, all the painting, all the weathering, everything's done. So it can be installed on the layout now.